Yes, people, how we doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. My voice is still croaky. It's not because I was shouting last night. It's because I was shouting the night before. We are going to get into it. We're going to be talking all things Arsenal. We're going to be talking about the um, kind of feelings and emotions of the last 48 hours and how we're feeling right now as Gooners. We're going to touch on last night's game as well, because obviously that now means so much to us. And it's been a couple of nights of quality in the Champions League. If I'm honest with you, three teams really should have 1 foot in the semi-finals already. And we can discuss that. Big up to all of you that's here nice and early. Hit the like and subscribe button. Bit of a special one for you today. Running this both on this channel and on Lee's channel as well. And it's me and Lee Judges and Chris Hudson. And do you know what? I was just saying off air, I have no idea the last time us three did a show together, but it was definitely a very long time ago, Chris.
Well, years, mate.
Yeah,
Years.
it has been, to be fair. And we need to do it more often, to be honest. Judges, how you doing?
I'm good. I've had a good week. I've had a good week, like So it's been good, like And listen, it's always lovely when the Arsenal win, but to win like that and the atmosphere and everything like that was fantastic, And I'll tell you what, stuff everybody else, these pundits and everything like that, going, oh, look at them all in it. This is what football's about. It's about enjoying yourself, you know what I mean? And like that's what we're doing. We're enjoying it. We know we ain't getting carried away. We're just enjoying the moment. And that's what football's about, enjoying the moment. So Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United, whoever, up yours.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? The media will do. What makes me laugh yesterday, the whole day. I'll just give you, before I do promote, because I've got to promote something for football prizes. Before I do, the whole of my phone, lads, right, was dead from rival fans. Now, can you imagine if it was 3-0 Real Madrid? The whole phone, buzz. Arsenal bottled it again. Arteta rubbish again. Arsenal rubbish again. Arsenal and Champions League. Don't go like. And it makes me laugh now because it's like, well, it ain't that good, Real Madrid. Calm down. It's the worst Real Madrid side we've seen in a long time. And you think, hang on a minute, you cannot win, man. You cannot win. But look, we're going to get into it. Let me just big up to Football Prizes, because they have got a mega competition that we need to share with you guys. And it is a great opportunity once again. And to be honest, it ain't just one prize. Normally it's one prize they do here. If you are a Gooner, you must get in for this, because there is a 47 instant win chances. You've got the Declan Rice signed shirt. How much would that be worth right now? Cesc Fabregas LED frame. You've got the 1989 bunch top left. You've got Invincibles, Vieira and Pires. You've got the Henry and Bergkamp one, which, let's be real, is iconic, that everybody wants. And you've got current players, Trossard, Zinchenko, Saliba, Martinelli, Havertz and more. So please make sure you get involved with this, people. There's a great opportunity for you to do it for just 39 pence. You've only got a little bit of time left, so please make sure that you're in for this, people. And go on to the link in the description, or go to footballprizes.co.uk, search competitions, and you'll see it there, highlighted at the Arsenal. So please make sure you show them some love. They've been great with us, so please make sure that we do the same with them. Big up to Suj, absolute legend. He's coming with the super chat. Says, big up to everyone. I'm just here spreading the love. Well, listen, let's make sure you can spread even more love, because last night I hit 37k, so I'm 3k away from 40. Lee Judges TV is getting closer and closer to 50k. So let's make sure we get both of us there, please, man. Make sure you're following Chris on all socials as well. Chris Hudson on Twitter. Yeah, show us some love, people. Let's start with you, Chris, because I have actually spoken to Lee, but I haven't spoken to yourself, bro. And was that the best night that we have experienced at the Emirates Stadium since it's opened, Chris?
Without that, mate. Wasn't it wonderful, chaps? It was absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you what, that old thing, you get the hairs on the back of your neck go up.
Yeah.
Well, I had that. And that was about 3 hours before the game. I couldn't settle. I don't know about you. That day I couldn't settle. I was up early. I was walking up and down. So in the end, I got on the train. I was in the pub by 3 o'clock, and it was the best thing I did because it calmed me down a bit. And then the whole atmosphere was wonderful, mate. It's right up there. It really is. And it could be. I was thinking, when was the last night at Highbury like that? Let's round it up. I don't know. I might possibly Anderlecht's home 1970. I mean that. It was that good, mate. It's wonderful. I'll never forget it.
Wonderful. I don't think we'll ever forget it. And judges, I've got to say this. Our shaving against Barcelona was good. One of the best Pep Guardiola sides I'm ever going to see. I think this beats it because against them, I always felt in the second leg that we weren't 100%, guaranteed to go through. We should have gone through that night, to be fair. Van Persie getting sent off in the new camp was just a joke. I was there. Absolute crazy. But I think as much as Arteta needs credit, as much as the players need credit, I think the fans are absolutely outstanding the other night. I don't think it's been spoken about enough, even by media pundits or rival fans. I don't think we're ever going to get any respect from those. But I don't think the fans themselves have realised how magical that was. Because for me, bruv, I look at that right now, and I do believe that is probably the best atmosphere I've seen, certainly going back years in the Emirates, mate.
Yeah, we was talking about that the other day, and I'm sorry, my voice is a bit still croaky.
Yeah, same.
We've had some good nights over the Emirates over the last few years. And was going through it like Leicester. Do you remember the Leicester game when Welbeck jumped in there? Arsenal 5-2 against Spurs was special. The Barcelona game was special. There's been other games that have been special. When Jesus scored that goal against Man United when he I can't remember who he gets sliding out of the stadium and getting a program on the way back in. And it was like it's been some good times. But I'm with you on that, Chris. I don't know about you. I wasn't feeling it before the game. I felt like this is just get it over and done with sort of thing. And but Mikel's press conference, he said, I'll get there early and everything like that. It sort of got me up for it. I thought, yeah, I will get there early. And it was the best thing I ever done. Got there early. Going into the ground, it was buzzing. And I just sort of got caught up in the emotion of it all. Like everybody else was in it. And then I was into it. And the atmosphere in that stadium was just unreal. It was unreal. There was, they were singing the, Arsenal are the greatest team the world has ever seen. Everybody was singing that. It was just unbelievable, And I go back to the hybrid days, and there was only sections of singing going on. It was either in the North Bank or the Clock Inn, but you wouldn't get it in the west or the east side. Do you know what I mean? It was fun. It was a great atmosphere, but I can't explain. But yet that on the game on Tuesday night, the club level, everywhere around was just singing, all getting involved. It was unbelievable, And nights like that that's what we want. Nights like that.
Because you know what they did? The day before, they liaised with the Ashburton Army, the club, which I found quite ironic, because they've taken their allocation, quite a bit of their allocation away this season. And now people have been moaning that the atmosphere ain't been so good this season. I mean, remember last season, chaps? It was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, and they took some of the Ashburton Army allocation of seats away. So I thought it was a bit ironic. They liaised with them this week about making the atmosphere better in the ground. So there's something to be learnt there, chaps. You know what I mean? Let's treat them with a bit more respect.
The game, Chris, I was I've never because I don't normally go early and whatever. Sometimes they've done all those sort of what do I call it?
Marches.
Marches. They go along I was caught up in it. It was
brilliant.
It was surreal, unbelievable.
It was unreal, isn't it? It is unreal. I've seen it a few times.
It gets you going, pumps you up before the game, and there must have been about 2,000 people walking along there. I don't know how many. It seemed like that, but they was all singing. They go through the tunnel under the bridge there, and that's where they sort of stay. And it does get you pumping, gets you right up for it. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. And if I'm honest with you, a few of our players were bloody fantastic. Let me tell you that. Before we come to Declan Rice, because I think that's the obvious place to usually start, I think he deserves all the plaudits he's getting, but I do think it's kind of taken away from some of the other individuals that were outstanding. And I want to look at a couple in particular. I want to look at both of our fullbacks, Chris, to start with, because I thought Timber and Lewis-Skelly were flawless, mate. Coming up against, a lot of pressure with Vinny Jr. and Mbappe and Rodrigo. Everyone's eyes on them. Fair play to Mikel Arteta for being stubborn enough to go with it for once and saying, no, I'm believing in them. Kivior as well. I thought the back line were sensational. I thought Saliba showed leadership qualities. I thought Kivior was brilliant. After the first couple of minutes, I thought, oh no, with that one he let go. And then after that, fine. Lewis-Skelly starting to run out of superlatives for this kid at 18, if I'm honest with you. And I don't think Timber gets anywhere near enough credit in terms of his consistency coming back from an ACL. I don't know a fullback better than him on the planet right now. The guy's just absolute genius. So talk to me about that back line, Chris. Go on.
He's Timber's the best right back in the world, mate. I don't care what anyone says. Lewis-Skelly is bringing me. Everyone says it's Ashley Cole, but I see more Kenny Sansom. And Saliba and Kivior, when they play together, they haven't let a goal in when they've been playing together.
I didn't believe that. I heard that and I thought, wow.
I think he gets a lot of unfair stick, Kivior. It all goes back to that game against Bayern Munich last season when he played left back and Sane roasted him. I don't think he got over that, but I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. He plays for Poland. He's earned 30 caps for Poland. He's not a mug. So, I've got, to lose Gabriel was massive, but once again, people have stepped up. And the back four and the goalkeeper are superb, mate. That's what we're going to depend on them in the return leg, let me tell you. Big time.
Well, we're going to need them, Chris. And I remember you and I spoke last time about Lewis-Skelly, and you said Ashley Cole vibes, Kenny Sansom vibes. If I'm honest with you, mate, he's passed every single test. And people might laugh at that and go, he ain't won anything. But he ain't trying to win something yet. Well, he is. But you know what I'm saying? He's literally just come onto the scene. He's come on with his first cap for England. He scored on his debut. He's been phenomenal since he's come into the side at Arsenal. He's taken the ball by the horns and said, this is my opportunity and I'm not going to slip up. And I think he's been consistently good. Now, I do think there's flaws to his game because at 18, you're going to have some. And then people talk about his discipline and the fact he gets caught out sometimes. But I don't really care about that. What I see from the positives of the lad is absolutely sensational. And I don't like to compare any Arsenal lads to Tottenham players. That's something that I don't like to do. But do you remember Moussa Dembele for Spurs on the ball? He looks so good and gifted, walking through, waltzing past. Reminds me of that. And I wonder if he's got a future in midfield, if I'm honest. But I don't know what you think, Chris.
When I've watched him in the youth team, that's where he plays midfield. They go on about, you're talking about Moussa. Do you remember a bloke who used to play for France called Tigana? Used to play in the French midfield with Platini. You remember him, Lee?
Yeah,
John Sigana. He was the Fulham manager, wasn't he?
Yeah. If you look at videos of him playing, that's who he reminds me of. I mean, and what a player I'd be reminded of, mate. But, at the moment, he's left back, but I think I can see his future in midfield, definitely. But then we'd have to buy yet another left back.
Yeah, we've had about 15 of them. Why not get another one? Judges, this kid's special, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. You just have to admire what he's doing at this moment in time. And listen, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to do things and all that. But the best players in the world make mistakes. You know what I mean? That's part and parcel of football. What I like about him is, and you can relate to it a little bit if you play football, is that that's a big game against Real Madrid, first couple of minutes. He's taking the ball in areas which are dangerous. If you lose that ball, it could be a goal. He ain't got to worry about it. He's confident in his ability to say, give me the ball. And I always gauge things on he's 18 years of age, and people like Declan Rice have got the ball, and they don't have to give it to him. They could actually give it, but they do. He asks for it and they give it to him. So the experienced players in the team, the top players, are confident enough to say, no, if you want it, you have it. So it's a compliment all round, that he can do that. And I've been impressed with him. How can you say, when I went on the tour at the beginning of the season, I thought, he's just there to make up the numbers, just what they do, you know what I mean? But he's just absolutely gone on. Well, in this year, it's incredible. It's incredible, boys, that he hasn't won London Young Player of the Year. That went to
Who
somebody else.
did?
Archie Gray won it.
Who do you think?
Right. Can you believe that? Like, I mean, he is on. If he doesn't win Young Player of the Year this season, I just don't know. You know, they'd probably give it a young Archie down there at Spurs because he's done fantastically well. But he's just been unbelievable. And do you think he's 18? I look at him and I think he's got the way he plays like a 24-year-old in his prime. He's got so much more to offer, like, you know. And what I like about him, I think he's got his head on as well. Like, I think he's on the right path. And at this moment, listen, Shinchenko was doing a great job for us in that role a couple of years ago, and he's sort of done better, because the one thing you'd say about Shinchenko is I thought he's a fantastic player, but you just turn around and go, is he quite strong enough? And he's not quite defensively good enough. When does Miles get done? I've not seen him get done by anybody defensively. So he's improved. He's improved in that area. Like, yes, he gets caught out a couple of times. That's why he's got the sending off that time and the penalty, which was never a penalty, by the way. But caught out. But that's going to happen. But you know, I just and also, come on, we love it, don't we? When it's a youngster coming through, I can't help it. Of all the times that you've all got that little thing with the players coming through. And for a big club like Arsenal, we do produce them, and that's a great thing to have.
It is.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely love the pair of them. And there is some news suggesting from Romano that we're fairly close to getting them both signed in terms of a contract. Romano did tweet back in February that new contracts for Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly will be part of the process at Arsenal after the end of the transfer window. Talks are already underway. And he said a few hours ago that the new contract proposals are ready and talks are underway since February for both Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Arsenal are working on it. Look, it's good news, and we need to keep these two at the club for a very long time, because young Ethan as well deserves a mention. I know that he didn't play a part in this, but this season he's been absolutely outstanding every time that he's been called upon as well. Look, I want to talk a little bit about Jurrien Timber. I'll start with you, Chris, because you mentioned him being one of the best in the world. I think he is by far, other than Gabriel, Arteta's best signing already. And I was listening to Curtis yesterday, and he thinks he might be one of Arsenal's best right-backs already. Up there with Dixon, Lauren, you know, obviously Ben White's been good this season as well. We've had Sagner, who's quality at the Emirates Stadium. Anderson. He mentioned the name, because when you say that Timber might be one of our best ever right backs, people look at you, Crikey, he's only been here yet. Well, that's how good he's been. But then you name the names and you think, yeah, they ain't won the likes of Lauren, and he ain't won what Dixon's won yet. And you mentioned Viv Anderson and co. But actually, I don't think he's far wrong. I think he could quite easily be fitting in some of those names. He has been phenomenally consistent. And I don't know if he's a robot, but how can you do that coming back from an ACL? Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is, imagine if we had him last season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ifs again, isn't it? I always remember how gutted I felt when that news. You remember how we all felt? He played for the first game. He lasted 45 minutes. I'll tell you what, I know ifs, buts and maybes, but I mean, that injury might have cost us the league title last year, you know. I really believe that. I know Ben White's good, but it's a bit of an uncomfortable little question we're going to have here. I mean, where is Timber's there, isn't he? And Ben White, do you think he's just a little bit below? What's your? I'm getting worried about Ben. What do you think will happen to him?
I'm a big Ben White fan. I'm a big Ben White fan, and I think like last season he was outstanding. But
there we go.
Football is funny, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Football is you have there's opportunities and injuries come along, and someone can take your place. And you know, football's ruthless at times. It really is. You know, if you'd have said to me this time last season, Ben White will be struggling to get into this Arsenal team, I laughed at you. I would have laughed at you, like, you know what I mean, and said, no way. He's you know, one of my favourite players and everything like that. He has got a job on his hands. I don't know where he's going to. you would turn around and say, like, what's 6 months ago? Oh, well, Timber play left back, Ben White play right back. But that left back role now is, you can't really be saying that. So, you know, you can't say that play central defender because of the two that they've got in there. So Ben White's got a real job on his hand, what to do, really, like, you know. But at this moment in time, is, you know, Ben's very, very good going forward as well. Listen, football, there's a role for Ben White in this Arsenal team. Don't get me wrong, like, you know what I mean? He's got a future at the club. But I think that, and I think you've got to be ruthless when you say, if it's a Champions League final and everybody's fit, he ain't getting in that back four, is he? And that is an incredible thing to say. It's an incredible thing.
But the thing is, you need a squad. I mean, that's one thing we've learned this season. So obviously, I don't want him. There's no way on God's earth I want to see him leave the Arsenal.
No,
but
no.
I'm wondering how he views it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think personally, I've had this conversation with Judges quite a while back. I think Timber's so much better than Ben White in terms of his position. And I'm a big Ben White fan. I think me and Judges picked our favourite 11. I think we both put Ben White in because we love him. We love his shithousery. We love what he's about. But if you just look at it with your eye test, I think Timber's ridiculous. I think he's unbelievable. And if you look at him on the ball, his athleticism, his one-on-one defending, talking about, I don't think he makes many mistakes. Timber, I can't remember a mistake he's made in an Arsenal shirt yet. I think he is phenomenal. And when you say, what does Ben White, how does he view it? We don't care about football, so he's probably still playing tiddlywinks for all we know, right? So I think, look, in seriousness, I think we keep both of them. Ben White has been consistent. And to be fair to him, has only come out because he's been durable. It's his injury that's let him down this season. That's the only reason, to be fair. And let's be honest, Mikel was actually playing them both, you know, at fullback when we started the season. And we kept the most clean sheets when they both played together. So there's a definite role for him in here. But in terms of how he might view it, I think he knows he's got to fight for his place to get back into it. And that's not a bad thing. It's not unhealthy. It's good competition. But I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think we all know, the three of us, that I don't think Timber can be dropped at right back. He is scarily good, man. Scarily good. And I thought he was outstanding the other night. You know, doesn't matter if you're coming up against Mbappe or Rodrigo or Vinny Jr. You know, if we do get through and we're fortunate enough to get through to PSG, they're going to have a great game against their front line because they're absolutely outstanding last night. And they destroyed Villa at times last night. You know, Kvaratskhelia, how did we let that one go? £63 million in January. What are we doing, man? You know, I was screaming at us, come on, go and get him. And he's just walks into PSG and just tore everyone apart. You know, that Doué looks brilliant. Obviously, they've got Dembele, you know, they've got Barcola. They're going to have players as well. So I do have faith with our back line now. That's one thing I'll say under Mikel Arteta. I've never been able to say under Arsene Wenger or Emery even. You know, when we were playing those clowns at the back at times, it was just embarrassing, wasn't it? Let's be real. Some of them, the names back there.
But I reckon in the Champions League this year, how many goals are we letting in the Champions League this year?
There we go.
So, you know, if you look at our Champions League form, it's wonderful. If there was a team who, let's say it's not Arsenal, it's Team X, and you looked at Arsenal's record in the Champions League, you go, I think they deserve to win it.
Yeah, you'd be saying they're the dark horses, or they're one of the favourites. Yeah, you would be.
We've whacked Sporting Lisbon, PSV, we've done Madrid. I mean, the only team it beat us was Inter Milan, and what a dodgy game that was.
Yeah, dodgy penalty.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? I'm scared to say it because it means everything. I mean, you know, it's the holy grail, isn't it?
Mm.
But you know what I mean? You want to win this. So if you win this, that's it for me. I'll just retire. I'll just, you know, that's the cigar on, mate. That's it. I've done it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that we all want, right? So if you said to me at the start of the season, I wanted that one. God,
it's opportunities, isn't it? We've got an opportunity now to get to the semi-final, and once you get to the semi-final, anything can happen. I looked at the game yesterday, just talked about that. I was impressed with both teams, really. But I tell you what, with Aston Villa, I think that a little bit of inexperience cost them yesterday. Like, you know, like 2-1, stay at 2-1. You know what I mean? Like, got opened up, and I think that with with Arsenal. That was the biggest thing for me. You're going about the 3-0 and you're going about it. The biggest thing for me, I've watched it back and all that, was that we learnt from our mistakes against Bayern Munich last season. We learnt, you know what I mean? We had the chance to do exactly what we'd done to Real Madrid, to Bayern Munich last season, and we fluffed our lines. We didn't take our chances, and then we made a couple of mistakes. We didn't do that yesterday, on Tuesday, and that is the biggest thing for me. We're learning from our mistakes.
Facts. And look, I watched the game last night. I thought Villa actually started pretty well, and Morgan Rogers, I'd love him, the Arsenal, let me tell you that. But I do think that PSG just had their quality and experience shone through. Luis Enrique, superb manager. Obviously, they've got brilliant front three. Their midfield trio. That Vitinha, another one. We went to Porto and ended up with Vieira, not Vitinha. How'd you do that? So for me, unbelievable PSG. They've got a great opportunity to go and win the whole thing if they play like that. They look fantastic. But look, I do think personally that Declan Rice has allowed people like myself and some others to eat a little bit of humble pie about his positioning, because I thought he was, well, if I'm honest, I thought he was head and shoulders, if I'm honest, above everyone on the pitch. I thought he was brilliant. Second half performance was outstanding. It ain't just the free kicks, Chris, that he scored. It was his all-round game in that position. And I like him as the 6, and I still remain to say that. Can he play there? Well, he proven the other night that he can play in the 8, that's for sure. But I must say this. They are the two of the best free kicks I've seen in a long time. I want to ask you, Chris, which one you thought was better, because I honestly think one of them is the best free kick I think Arsenal have ever scored. And I think
the second one.
Yeah.
The second one. Because the first one, I saw, unfortunately, some bloke jumps up and I didn't really see it. So, but the second one, did you notice how the referee was standing like that? And I thought, and I was looking at the ref, but when it left his foot and hit the back of the net, it was wonderful, wasn't it? I mean, yeah. And I was talking about Declan Rice. Don't you think he's really stepped up in the last 3 or 4 months this season? Remember in the beginning of the year, he wasn't top form, but I thought that was down to pure exhaustion because he had no rest from the international tour. But I think he's really stepped up this season. Especially I think he's carried us actually the last 3 or 4 months, if I'm being honest with you, in some games. And it's not an anti-Odegaard thing. You know what I've said about Odegaard. I just think he's not the same since his injury and all that. But I would make Declan captain because I think he'll become captain of England, and also, that's where I am with Declan Rice. And yes,
I never wanted
Rice.
Odegaard as captain anyway, because I don't see him as a captain. But Gabriel and Rice, I think, deserve the captain's armband. He's never going to strip him of the captaincy, I don't think, Mikel Arteta. But you're right in saying that he's got those leadership qualities as well. But I don't know about you two lads. I can't tell you. I've lost count how many times I've rewatched both them free kicks. I don't know how many times I've watched. I reckon it must be easily 100 now.
I got on last night and put it on again. I can't help it. You know what I mean? The highlights. I've watched the highlights of the second half. I don't know how many times. Just put it on, you know what I mean? It's the best free kick I've ever seen live.
Same.
Gascoigne's one against Arsenal '91. I look back at that and I thought Seaman should have done better. Right. But that one there, I don't think any goalkeeper could have done anything about that. If you have a look at it, you know what I mean, he couldn't have placed it any better than what he done. No goalkeeper saving it. It's an absolute wonder of a free kick. The first one's fantastic, by the way. But the second one, I just don't think you'll see a better. I don't think I'll ever see a better free kick than that live again. I don't. To do it once was unbelievable. To do it twice is incredible. And I agree with you, Chris. I think Declan Rice is I just think he's an unbelievable player. Me and Dan have arguments about where's his best position and all that. I think he can play either or. The one problem that I've got is when if teams play that real low block, I don't think I think the Champions League, by the way, suits him because there's open spaces for him and all that. But his performances in the big games, you have a look at the big games, he turns up. He turns up in big games, and that's what we wanted him for, like, you know. And they couldn't handle him. They couldn't handle him. You know what I mean? And he makes tackling look easy. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about it, these are all good players that can keep the ball and all that. But he pickpockets top players, you know, in good areas. And I just think he's a wonderful, wonderful player. And at the end of it, like, that's the great thing for me. I know, like, people go, like, we're all saying, oh, Declan Rice should be captain, Gabriel should be captain. Do you remember 5, 6 years ago, or maybe even a bit longer? We didn't have one like that. You're thinking, like, you know, oh, well, there ain't no captains and all that. But I think now we've got leaders all around that could be captains. You know what I mean? And that is the fantastic thing about this team at this moment in time. You could even turn around and go to me, you know, Saliba could be captain. The way he conducts himself, you know, unbelievable in there. If Thomas Partey was captain, you wouldn't be arguing with it, like, you know. There's so many. Saka, you know, I think's captain at Arsenal on a few occasions, you know. So there's all players in, and that's what you need. You need leaders all around. If you look at the teams that won titles at Arsenal and all that, like, you know, Tony Adams was captain, but Martin Keown could have been captain, like, you know, Patrick Vieira could have been, you know what I mean, Emmanuel Petit. That's what you need, a sprinkling of all of those players. Dennis Bergkamp, you've got to have these players. But there was one stage at Arsenal when it was just, well, who's the best player? Because there ain't really one that can be captain, like, you know, and that's what's good about it. Like, so, you know, Odegaard does a job. I think probably does a job. Sometimes a captain can be off the field as well, and I think maybe he leads off the field without people knowing.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's more off the field, leading by the press, being an example, role model. That's what he is, and that's what Arteta wants. But if you want someone who's barking orders and, you know, that all the fans will connect with and love as a captain, Rice and Gabriel are definitely the two. Let me bring in a couple of these super chats. Actually, before I do that, there's this comment. Here, Lee, you'll like this. There is always a very jealous Tottenham Hotspur fan. You won the Champions League Tuesday night. Well done. It is not over. Ronnie, big up to you. Good luck against Frankfurt.
I'll have it. And do you know what? I'm gonna for the first time in my life, I'm gonna agree with Ronnie. I'm gonna agree with Ronnie. It ain't over. Anybody that thinks it is daft. You know, they get an early goal. Things can happen, like, you know. So Arsenal, we've got to go over there. And do you know what? I'm more nervous about going over there than this game, because we had. I know this is a silly thing to say. We had nothing to lose on Tuesday, but we did have something to lose. But you know what I mean? Like, we weren't expected to win, you know. So now all of a sudden we've got semi-final in the palm of our hands. So don't think that that's not a pressure, because it is. And you know, we've all played football and seen football, right? Okay. Anfield 89 is a perfect example. I know it's only 2-0, but how do you play that game? If you just sit, right, we're going to sit back and defend for 90 minutes, I don't think that's going to work, you know. So listen, this is not an easy game, and
the cynic in me also. Do you know what I'm more worried about next week is the ref? Because they will be up to every trick, every dirty trick you can think of. They'll be at it. They'll be diving. The crowd will put them under pressure. And if you look at Madrid's history, they have come back from deficits like this before, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
So, you know, I totally agree with you. I'm more nervous about next week now.
Yeah. Like, look, we the last time we've conceded 3 goals was back in 2021, I think. So if we bottle this, my goodness. It can't happen. It can't happen. Let's get these super chats. Sue says, big up everyone, just here spreading the love. He's also coming to say, just here spreading the love here as well. Big up to you, Suge. Absolute legend, man. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, people. Let's get Lee Judge's TV up to 50k and Football's 12 man up to 40. Guna Cannon, love for this one. Says, what a legendary lineup. I love this AFTV Holy Trinity from here to Guna Heaven. Like I've already said, I can't wait to work with you all. Come on, you Gunners, real G. Big up to you, bro. Make sure you reach out on DMs on Insta or on Twitter to 12th Man, and we'll definitely sort that out and get you on, man. Big up to you, bro. Really appreciate that. Look, if I'm honest with you, Declan Rice deserved the mention, but the other night, I think we have to give this geezer another year extension now, Chris. Thomas Partey was absolutely out of this world, I thought, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it was Bellingham who, wasn't it? He just destroyed him. And when you see Partey play like that, you sort of don't you get a little bit of regret, all the injuries he's had, and you think, what might have been. But I think he does deserve another year, chaps. But I don't think he's going to get it. That's what I'm going to say. I totally agree with you, but I think they've made their mind up. I think they're going to move him on. And I think Barcelona in for him. And as I was watching that the other night, I mean, that's easy to secure his move to Barcelona if they want him. But I don't want it. Obviously, yeah, he does deserve another year, and his form this season has been superb. But I don't think he's going to get it. Sorry.
What do you reckon, Lee?
I'm with Chris on it. Listen, he made midfield look easy on Tuesday night. Yeah, I was watching him. I thought, I can do that. And then, you can't. There was some of the stuff that he done in that game. If you watch it back, the move for the Marino goal, he just drops his shoulder and just plays a ball in some. You can't teach that. You can't. He's gifted. He's gifted. He runs midfields, and he does it easily. And to do that at that level is an unbelievable thing. And to get somebody else, if they're going to get, I think you're right, Chris. I think they've obviously looked at Zubimendi. That's the one they're going to go for. The one thing that I would say that Thomas Partey hasn't got now is the legs. You know what I mean? Maybe that's one of the reasons and all that. But for me, and this is the thing. You've got to speak when people say, "Oh yeah, we could give him a contract and all that." They could have said, "Look, we'll give you a contract, but you're going to be back up to Zubimendi, perhaps doing what Jorginho's doing at Arsenal at this moment in time." And he might be turning around and going, "Nah, I still want to play regularly and be like the main man." And if Barcelona or somebody else is going to give him that chance, then you can't blame him. You can't blame him. I think if you'd be really honest about it, if we bring in Zubimendi, you'd still think, right, what's your best team? Thomas Partey, it's touch and go. But eventually, age catches up on you and you've got to, and it depends what he really wants. Now, at the end of it, he's going to go on a free transfer. He's going to get bigger and better money elsewhere, not maybe on wages, but on a signing on fee or things like that. So as much as we'd like to keep him, there may be the fact is that, he'd like to stay as well, but you ain't going to get the game time. I think somebody like Xhaka would have stayed at Arsenal, but I don't think he was guaranteed the game time that he's guaranteed in Germany. And that's the problem you've got with someone as talented as that. And I think someone's saying that Zubimendi is a downgrade on Partey at this moment in time. He is, but he ain't going to be in 2 years' time when Thomas Partey is 34. That's the problem you've got. He's 31. I'd definitely keep him another year and try and convince him, but it's going to be tough with the game time, I think.
Yeah, it is. And look, Zubimendi looks like the guy that we want, or essentially some people are saying that he is going to be coming in. I think if you've got Zubimendi and Partey, and then obviously Rice as the 8, as everyone seems to believe he is, and Arteta believes he is, and then you've got Marino as that kind of cover, I think we might need another 8 in there. But certainly Thomas Partey can't be leaving. He's been our best midfielder. He's been one of our best players. He's definitely the best holding midfielder we've got. He is absolutely effortless. The other night, it was just a joy. It was like an artist at work, man. It was just beautiful to see. He was absolutely effortless. He was just head and shoulders above their midfield, who, by the way, is absolutely outstanding. Modric, Valverde, I think, is an exceptional footballer. Jude Bellingham, we know all about. And we had to boss that midfield, and we did that, and I think fair play to Partey. And if he gets another year, brilliant. I feel like maybe he would have signed it if he would have by now already. But we had to mention him. The other player we got to mention if I'm honest with you, is this geezer. Because if I'm honest with you, I don't really like him in midfield. I don't really know what he does. But up top, he's got 6 goals in 9 games, Chris, now. I think he's a better finisher than Kai Havertz. I think that finish is underrated and underappreciated. I don't really know that we've missed Kai Havertz because of him. I honestly believe it when I say that. And I know you two are more fans of Kai than me, and I think Kai's a squad player at best. And I think he is actually Marino. But I think that he's done a good job, man. He scored some goals,
Well,
Chris.
I tell you what, didn't he lead the line well at Everton? I thought he was there. What in a way, it is a tribute to him, the player, and Arteta, what they've done, you know, because they've obviously worked hard on the training pitch. So they've turned like a sort of nondescript midfield player, like a squad player, into Robin Van Persie. he was just superb, wasn't he? That goal was Van Persie-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know how he finished that reminded me of a Robin Van Persie goal. And I'll tell you, I owe him an apology, Marino. So when I have been on you, Dan, I think I've slaughtered him. I think, why have we bought this geezer? But I'll tell you what, he shoved that right down my throat. I think he's been at whatever happens this season, you've got to give him a pat on the back, mate. You really have. And who'd thought, I'll be saying, I think he's a better buy than Calafiori has been. Just at least he's available.
Mm.
He has been. And if I'm honest with you, judges, you and I both questioned it, started to see it and thought, Leicester, it's come on and done well. Maybe he's one of those guys you bring on, different dimension, good in the air. And if I'm honest with you, I don't want him starting next season. But I don't think he's done a bad job there, Lee.
No, listen, I've got to say this. I've actually been impressed when he's played in midfield as well the last few games. When he's gone back into midfield, he's had to drop in there. I thought he'd done really well. Declan Rice come off on Tuesday night. He dropped in there. No one was turning around and saying they're missing Declan Rice. You know what I mean? Get him back on or whatever. He's done well. Somebody said it today. I don't know who it was, and I ain't going to take the praise for it. Turned around and said, if we'd have signed this Marino in January as a forward, 6 in 9, we'd be going, wow, what a great decision that is. And yeah, he has taken a little while to get into the role. But if you have a look at that goal, go back and have a look at the goal against Real Madrid. He's involved in it in the midfield. He picks the ball up in midfield, plays it out wide, and then gets into the box. And then when he gets into the box, wow, it's a great finish. He missed a good chance against Everton, to be fair, and with a header. But when he done that, I was disappointed. I said, he should get it on target. Because do you know what? He 9 times out of 10 gets his shot or his header on target. So, listen, he's not going to... I'll be absolutely devastated if they come out in the summer and go, well, we don't need someone. We've now converted him into this. I'll be fuming. But for a makeshift and doing things there, and a squad player of quality, you know what I mean? A little bit like we say Ben White. You can say that Ben White when everybody's fit. I don't think Marino gets into the side. And if we get a top striker, he certainly won't, but can come in and do a job, and that's what you need. And these are the sort of players that you want, that you know that you can rely on when they come in, they do a job. As Chris said earlier on, Kivior has come in and done a job. Listen, you're going to miss Gabriel over a 5, 6, 7, 8 game period. We know that, but over 1 or 2 games, he's not been missed. And that's a compliment to Kivior. The same can be said about Marino. I like Havertz. I'm not saying he's the real deal, but he hasn't been missed at this moment in time. So you have to give Marino's comment. And the thing is, I don't think people realise how good a goal that was.
It was wonderful.
Wonderful technique. But because of the Declan Rice goals, it's never going to be talked about. But that's life. But he'd be he'd be buzzing into training today. I'm pretty sure he'd have bounced into training.
Yeah, look, I honestly believe that it's actually worked out, and it's something I questioned. Auxiliary striker. I think what I did, though, if I'm honest, I never saw him play there. Never know if he could do a job there. It was more frustrating that we were using that over buying a striker in January. That, I think, is what hurt me more than actually believing he could or couldn't play there. Because when he did come on against Leicester and he scored those 2 goals, it was a great finish, the second one, by the way. He's always had physical attributes and aerial ability from what I can work out and what I've seen from the little I had in Spain. But he's come in and he's actually been quite a focal point and a bit of a target man. Now, I think when you look at this goal scoring record, like Lee's just said, if we would have bought, let's say, Ollie Watkins and he got 6 in 9, I think we would have been like, that's a good signing. But because it's Marino and no one wants him up there, and I'll put my hands up and say I still don't want him to be our striker next year. But I think you just got to look at what sort of job he did. Now, I didn't think he was outstanding against Real Madrid. I didn't think he was the best player on the pitch, but certainly did a job. And that finish is very underappreciated. And that goal has given everybody the kind of breathe out relief type more moment. Now, I'm not saying it's done and it's dusted, but at 2-0, I'm thinking they score early. This is not going to be nice. But at least now at 3, you think, okay, they've scored early, squeaky bum time, but let's just keep ourselves calm because they've got to get 3 more. Do you know what I mean? Whereas next time they get 2-0, could quite easily lose 2-0 over there and it goes to extra time and penalties. And I'd fancy him at the Bernabeu. So it's a very, very important goal for him. But look, let's talk about the kind of weekend and Premier League games that are now going to get potentially in the way of this Champions League. We've got a super chat from Lawrence, and it's a good time to bring this in. I'll bring this, put this up to you first, Chris. Lawrence, big up to you, mate. I hope you're well. He says, would you play all the reserves and the kids against Brentford and then the rest of the team that plays Real Madrid the next week on Tuesday? What would you say to that, mate?
No, I'd rest a few. I sort of play like an Everton team. I wouldn't be resting everyone because you might think I'm being a little bit panicky, but I still want to end the season well in the league. I don't want to be giving Brentford any presents Saturday. So no, I won't be playing. Anyway, we haven't got that much players we can re-rotate anyway. So it's just play what I call an Everton team, and that should be good. Hopefully, good enough to beat Brentford. But I wouldn't. If you ask me, I wouldn't play. Rice and Saka, I wouldn't play them. I think we can cover them. Would I rest the rest of them? I think I still would play. You could rest Saliba if you wanted to, bring Ben White in. But it all depends who's got a knock. You know, Timber might need a rest. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where we are with the fitness. So I wouldn't go whole scale changes. I'll make a few, because I still want to keep going in the league. That's me personally. No, not because we're going to win it, because I still want to keep that second place.
What are you saying, Lee?
Yeah, I agree with Chris to a certain degree there. I think that they will make changes. The one that we had a discussion about yesterday was would you play Raya in goal?
Yeah.
Would you or would you play now? I think Raya is key for that Wednesday night. The thing about the Wednesday game as well is that it's Wednesday, so you get an extra day. Like where we played like Saturday, Tuesday, we've got an extra day's recovery. I'm with that. Like, no, I don't want to see Declan Rice. I don't want to see Saka. I think Sterling done okay at Everton, deserves another crack. Trossard in there as well, and Wanyeri. So I'd rest the whole front three, like give them a run out. In midfield, maybe bring Marino back into midfield. Definitely, maybe Thomas Partey have a rest, but Thomas Partey was left out of Everton, and then I think Ben White for Timber. I would like to see Saliba get a rest at some stage, but you've got to make the decision what the risk of Saliba or Timber. Timber doesn't seem to be like, without being a critic, I'm not criticising, get through games at the moment because he's been played so many games with coming back from injury. I think if you sat down with Mikel, and he'd probably say that he's played 10 games more than he probably wanted to. And we're in the business end of the season, so I think you've got to keep him very, very well looked after. Wrap him in cotton wool, as they say, So Ben White will come in there. But if it, dare I say it, Thomas Partey going to right back so that you could get Saliba getting a rest, I'm not 100% with that. So we'll have to wait and see, So for me, a few changes, definitely a few changes, without. we was a better team in the first half against Everton than we was when we brought all the players back on in the second half. So give them a go, like, you know, and see what happens, like, you know. But I'm with Chris. I'll be very disappointed if we don't win this game. I'm not, you know, we've got momentum now. I think we've got to take that into this game and then, like, you know, get ready for Real Madrid. But I want us to go there and win this game.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And momentum in football is absolutely key for me. Look, maybe making a few changes would be a good idea. Something similar to this might be a good shout. Give a few people that need a rest for that Real Madrid game. I keep Raya in goal. I don't see the point of changing goalkeepers personally. I know he's key for the other night, but you know, anyone can get injured at any point. Ben White comes in for Timber. Saliba and Kivior, I think, are the only two options we've got at the moment, if I'm honest. Tierney at left back, Jorginho, Zinchenko and Waneri in midfield. Give all those trio a rest. And then Sterling, Marino and Trossard. That's probably what I'd do, something similar to that. Quite a few changes, but nothing like playing kids. Do you know what I mean? Look, I think he'd probably go a bit stronger than that. I don't think he's going to rest as many players as that because I think he's still going to look at the league thinking that, you know, we can catch Liverpool, even though I think he knows probably deep down that we can't. So that's what I expect to see, if I'm honest with you, a little bit of changes. It could be quite key going into this one. I think we've got to be going in for the kill and trying to keep the momentum, if I'm honest with you. But Chris, 1 foot in the semis. How do you see the other teams in this competition in the Champions League? Because PSG looked electric. Looks like they've got 1 foot now in the semi-finals. Aston Villa still won't be written off. Dortmund got absolutely trounced by Barcelona, who look like they're going to be in the semi-finals. And then it's a flip of a coin at the moment between Inter Milan and Bayern Munich. But if I'm honest with you, I fancy Inter Milan, Simone Inzaghi, if I'm honest. So how do you see the other teams doing in this competition?
Well, they're all good teams, chaps. I might shock you, but I think Inter Milan will get to the final.
Said the same thing.
Mainly due to their pure shithousery, but also because they know how to defend. And the geezer up front, I know he's been talking. Did you see his goal he got for Inter Milan? Argentinian boy up front. He is one, yeah. PSG are a beautiful football team. Barcelona are a beautiful football team. But I think Inter Milan have come through, and obviously I'm going to pray to God where they're playing them.
Look, I'm going to say that I think Barcelona will still get to the final and probably win the whole thing. But I don't think I could be foolish to ever write off Simone Inzaghi. No. He, for me, give me any manager on the list, I'd take him tomorrow. The guy is ridiculous. I was speaking to Mo, who's obviously Judge Mo, big Inter Milan fan, loves him. I don't know anyone as good as him tactically. He's just ridiculous. I said, yeah, no, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. He is ridiculously good. So, look, I hope that Arsenal can go all the way, of course. What do you think, Lee? PSG, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich as well? Barcelona?
I'm with Chris. I think I've said it all along. Inter Milan are the dark horses because they can defend. And Barcelona, listen, they've been fantastic and again showed that they are fantastic. But, you know, you've got to break down this Inter Milan team. Like, you know, and to go to Bayern Munich and win is not easy. And listen, Bayern Munich are not out of that tie yet. But I think before the game, everybody was sort of saying Bayern Munich, Bayern Munich, Bayern Munich. I was very, very impressed with Inter Milan against us. Very impressed. And it you know, like Barcelona will be favourites, but you know, if that's the case, come on, I'd love it to be Arsenal, Barcelona, revenge time and all that. Like, I really would. But you know, we'll have to wait and see what goes on there. I think that I agree with Chris again. I watch PSG, and they're wonderful to watch. I absolutely love the way they play the game. You know, knock it about and do you know what was more impressive about them yesterday? They never panicked when they went 1-0 down yesterday. you know, they got back with it within 10, 15 minutes. They're a team that worries me because they've been there and thereabouts for a few years now, like, you know, and it could be their time. It could be their time, you know. So I do think that won't be easy. Somebody said to me yesterday, watching the game, who do we want, Aston Villa or PSG? I said, well, let's get for Paris Saint-Germain. I'm going, well, let's get through our one first. But if we did get through, you know, Villa would be the easiest one. But, you know, if you got knocked out of them, it would be horrendous. And PSG, they look the real deal as well. If I was to be honest, I'm going to say PSG versus Inter Milan would be my two teams that I would put money on at this moment in time. But you know, I'm hoping Arsenal can. What Arsenal need to do if they do get through is do exactly what they've done to Real Madrid in that first leg. Get it done. Get it done. So you know, sometimes the home leg can be an advantage for you, and not, do you know, so you can get it done in one game. Like Barcelona have got it done in one game. Arsenal virtually have got it done in one game. You know, so even you would turn around and say that at this moment in time, PSG are massive favourites now with a 2-goal lead. So that first leg, if you can get it done, is a big thing. So if we can get through and we get whoever we get, and the momentum and the atmosphere at the Emirates, don't bear thinking about it, is it?
We have beaten PSG, haven't we? We beat
I'm in a 2-0 game, Chris. But as you well know, you've been watching all this league, Champions League to the knockout Champions League is two completely different competitions in one. You know, look at the quality of it. Look at it now to what it was. You know,
it's interesting when you look at the quality of the Champions League, and this week it has been wonderful, isn't it? Not just the Arsenal match,
fantastic.
And then compare that with the dross of the Premier League.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? Like I thought, you know, watching that game yesterday, when you've got no. You're a neutral, really, aren't we? I ain't really bothered who we get if we want. I ain't, you know, I quite like Aston Villa. I'm not saying I don't like, you know. I watched the game. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful game of football. I watched games over the weekend. I was bored out of my head.
Oh, it's
Manchester Derby
and all that. And you watched that last night. Exciting, full of incidents, great shots, great saves, great midfield. Great refereeing. Yeah, I think that has to be put into it as well, Chris. 100%. And, you know, our game, 0-0. I don't know I know it was 0-0 at half time, but we was going in and saying, bloody good game of football now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like.
So, I know this would be an uncomfortable thing to say, but do you remember we all said, oh, no, we don't want that. If we had a European Super League, you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah,
I know it's a controversial thing to say, but when you look at the quality we've got this week, when you look at the quality, and you look at the stain of the refereeing, and then you compare that with what we've had to put up with this season, abysmal refereeing, VAR's a joke, VAR, it's just, you know.
It's killing it.
Sucking the life out of football, it is, Chris.
It is, mate. 100%.
Sucking the life out of it. I watch a lot of championship games, obviously, because Tyrese playing for Sheffield United.
Yeah, I
have. I'm absolutely thoroughly enjoying watching those games, and like, you know, no one knows who's going to beat who. The depth of the league. I know it's not got the quite, but it's action-packed games. Refereeing like ain't great, but like there's none of this VAR stuff and everything. It's a joy to watch. And then I watch, you know, I actually sat there in the stands at Everton, and I think to myself, what am I doing here? The game's crap, VAR's crap. I've got to travel all the way home. It's costing a lot of money. It's not enjoyable watching it. Do you know what I said? Do you know what was the best thing? You go back to that Everton game. 22 players in the Premier League there, not one player got me off my seat in the whole game. And do you know the only thing that was Premier League standard in that game was the pitch. Nothing else was Premier League standard. The players, the play, the referee.
That's true. I mean, also, have you ever seen? Look at the three teams that I'm going to exempt Ipswich from this criticism because I think they've given it a bit of a go.
Yeah.
But the other two, Leicester and Southampton, have been nothing short of a disgrace. I'll say at the end of this season, I know we're going with a bit of tandem here, but the Premier League clubs have got to sit down and listen to what fans are saying. A, do we want VAR? B, the standard of refereeing. Don't bury your heads in the sand because in the end, people will begin to moan now. And if you keep putting the prices up, people don't want to pay to watch Dross. You know what I mean?
No, exactly that. Exactly that.
I agree. Look, let's do a couple of these supers, a couple of comments to close. AMT says, Marino in the Liga, 190 matches and 20 goals for a midfielder. There's also Suju said, who's had more impact in their first season, Marino or Havertz? Well, if we go and do the unthinkable in the Champions League, then Marino might have to trump him, but good question. And Archangel says, do you guys think that the squad and system is constructed more for the Champions League than the Premier League? Mark also says, are we free scoring in the Champions League and struggling in the Premier League? Now, I spoke to Mo and Hassam months ago, and they said, I think Arsenal will do better in the Champions League than the Premier League this year. So I think they're set up and built better as a system, as in a defensive unit. Do you boys kind of agree with that? Do you think that is a chance that will,
Yeah.
Well, proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. I believe that when you're playing the Champions League at this moment in time, that there's teams in the Champions League that are at the top of their leagues, they come out and play. They're not going to be all defensive and like Arsenal cannot and suss out when teams play low block teams. But in the Champions League, teams don't have to do that because they've got quality all around. So they think, right, even Real Madrid, like, you know what I mean? They were defensive, but they still come out and played. And they're not going to sit there in low blocks and all that. Like, you're not going to do an Everton, a West Ham, and all those sort of teams. You know what I mean? How many teams have done that to us this season? It's been drab. It's been drab. You know what I mean? Like, even I'll say it now. Even teams at home have done it to us. Even teams at home, we've gone away from home. Fulham, for instance, like, you know what I mean? I watched Fulham against Liverpool the other day. They never done that to us. They just sat in there, and it's not, you know. So it's you know, a tough watch. But at the end of the day, the Champions League is probably better. But there's some bloody quality still in there, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Quality will get you through at the end of the day. Have we got enough quality in our team when it really matters? I don't think what we have, and that's where I look at PSG. I see the quality all around. Even with Real Madrid, as poor as they were the other day, they've got game changers and match winners that you know you've got to worry about. That Saka, you know, showed what he's worth. You know what I mean? He is a game changer. He's up there. And that's we've got to rely on that. But yeah, I do think we're more suited to as Chris said, is you just look at the results.
Chris, as we go, prediction for Brentford, mate, at home.
3-0 Arsenal. I think old Mikel. So I don't. Let's get this game won. I'm not being arrogant. I don't dis Brentford because they're quite a good team. But I think try and get the game won. So on 60 minutes, you can make lots of subs. You know what I mean? Let's have a nice quiet afternoon. I don't want no drama. Nice 3-0. Thank you very much. See you later. Bosh.
Let's hope you're right. Judges, what are you telling me?
2-1.
Okay. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah. I prefer 1-0 or 2. I want a clean sheet. That'd be good. That'd be good because that gives everybody confidence going into the next game, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be massively comfortable, but I think we'll nick the 3 points, and that's all that matters really is momentum. So let's keep it going. Listen, people, absolute legends. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Chris and to Lee, of course. Make sure you're both liking and subscribing to both myself and Lee. I'll be back on 12th Man at 4 p.m. later with a lit panel. You do not want to miss it, because Hooks is going to get some serious apologies, because he said we were going to beat Real Madrid and everyone cooked him. So that will be quite a good one later on at 4 p.m. Take care, people. We'll see you next time and have a great one.
Cheers. See you later.